Dear viewers across the world, most welcome to my channel NAGA World Conflict Zones. Context: how regional power can fill the US credibility gap. There was a tragic sense of deja vu in witnessing another cycle of bloodshed between the Israelis and the Palestinians. It is not only the manner in which these outbreaks begins and are conducted, but equally how they come to a temporary halt with a realistic expectation that another outbreak is just around the corner. Under these circumstances, it is hard to find any silver lining in the aftermath of a further round of hostilities that has resulted in the loss of hundreds of lives, with many more badly injured and societies traumatized. However, there is one cause for optimism. It is that, as in previous wars between Israel and Hamas in Gaza, it was a regional power. Egypt, with the support of other neighboring countries, that brokered the ceasefire in light of the Abraham Accord, the normalizations of the Israelis' relations with Morocco, Sudan, and some Gulf states. There should be a realization that instead of waiting for power beyond the region to broker a further de-escalations on the way to comprehensive peace agreement, there is an opportunity for such an initiative to emerge organically from within the Middle East, supported by others in the international community. It took 11 days of fighting for ceasefire to be agreed, avoiding a repeat of the 7-week war 2014, and in spite of the fact that only on these occasions the linkage established between that happens in Gaza with event in Jerusalem and Jewish-Arab relations inside Israel meant that a prolonged and even more deadly conflict was very much on the cards. However, now that the sides have agreed to hold their fire, it is paramount that strong diplomatic effort be made to prevent what looks like the inevitable next round of bloodshed. From the very beginning of the clashes in Jerusalem this month that spread to Gaza and into Israel's Jewish Arab cities, it becomes apparent that the international community was in no hurry to stop the fighting for reasons ranging from the not seeing it is a high priority issue to not believing that could make a difference, while the rest at least tactfully hoped that the Israeli military machines pounding Gaza, regardless of the price paid by innocent civilians, would crush Hamas' similarity and political leaderships. However, Hamas scored some important point in the psychological battle with Israel by establishing a new and dangerous equation between the different segments of Palestinian society living between the Jordan River and the Mediterranean Sea, and by demonstrating the improved range and power of its rocket to devastating effect, and in the process distinguishing itself from the Palestinian Authority as being the one ready to carry on the armed struggle against Israel. This should be concern not only to Israel but also to those in the region who perceive Iran supported Hamas and Islamic Jihad as a danger to regional stability. To make the situation increasingly volatile, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has announced that his country's new policy rocket dispatched from the Hamas-controlled Gaza means that it will respond with full force to every single rocket fired on and no longer tolerate a steady drip of rocket with no response. If Israel's adhere to this threat and the tension in Jerusalem persists as they appear to be doing, it will mean that both sides have committed themselves to a shaky ceasefire. For now, the genuine peace process that could lead to an agreement based on a two-state solution that can unlock the impasse over hardened Jerusalem, Palestine, refugees and Jewish settlers is not within reach. Nevertheless, a de-escalation that could lay the foundations of such a progress is by all accounts possible. And to achieve this, regional power can make a significant difference. For instance, in recent survey by the Palestine Center for Policy and Survey Research, Ramallah reveals that top priorities among Palestinians are the unifications of the West Bank and Gaza Strip, improving economic conditions, combating corruption, and the removal of the siege and blockade over the Gaza Strip. It is possible for countries from within the region to use their influence over both sides to advance these priorities and initiate the rebooting of relations between the Israelis and Palestinians, which will reduce the likelihood of further escalations and inject some hope of long-term solutions. Despite the doom and gloom attacking into the prospect of any sort of improvement in Israeli-Palestinian relations, these findings of ordinary Palestinian priorities and the fact that Israel also need to rethink its strategy after being caught unawares by the Palestinians' eruptions inside Israel. In Gaza, in Jerusalem, and to some extent the West Bank, have created an opportunity to move from brokered ceasefire to addressing both sides' broader long-term concern in light of the half-hearted interest shown by powers outside the region, including the US. This could be best addressed by concerted regional effort to keep up momentum created by the Egypt brokered ceasefire. Here also lies a rare opportunity for those in the Middle East who have already established diplomatic relations with Israel and those who are delaying such a move until a peace agreement to work together and step up a gear to advance what the Saudi foreign minister described in the aftermath of the present truce as a concerted effort to find a just settlement of the Palestinian issue in a way that achieves the aspirations of the Palestinian people to establish their independent states with East Jerusalem at its capital. The benchmark for this negotiation should be previous UN resolutions and the Arab Peace Initiative of 2002. Moreover, the commitment made by Abu Dhabi's Crown Prince Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan in a telephone call with Egypt's President Abdel Fattah announcing the US readiness to facilitate peace effort between Israel and the Palestinians could play a significant part in such a regional-led initiative. With the leadership of these, the hopefully additional countries, the paradigm that assume it is only the US with European support that could broker such a peace or at least manage the conflict while seeking Middle East power to support them could be reversed, probably producing better result for regional power. The conflict has an immediate impact on their interest. They do not suffer from the credibility deficit or political pressure forced by an initiative brokered by Washington and to some extent Europe, and could provide support and guarantee to both sides from closer to home. E.A.C. Markelberg is Professor of International Relations and an associate credited.